Yo, 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 and welcome back to Cutting the Shit with MrDarkPhoenix, and this is going to be our spoiler take on Spider-Man No Way Home. MrDarkPhoenix, how are you? Why don't you go ahead and have the pleasure of beginning this segment?
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for giving us a listen again. And this is going to be like our spoiler talk about No Way Home. We're going to try and keep it as in order as we can. But I do want to start out by saying Willem Dafoe delivered
Yeah.
in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He was just evil. He wasn't like Thanos, where it was like, I want to do a noble thing, or he wasn't like Killmonger, where he wanted to help save his people. He just wanted chaos and drama.
So he was every bit of the Goblin that I was used to in his Spider-Man movies, and I fucking loved it.
I felt so bad for him.
I love the fact that he wanted to be the ones that did the stunts too. He didn't want anyone else doing them. He wanted to be the one that did it, and I really appreciated that. Because he said, you know, he wanted to earn the role. He wanted, you know, he wanted it to just be him, and he felt like it would be the most like authentic looking, and it really was.
Yeah, he did say that in an interview. He said that it adds a certain personal feel to the character and the characters if you're the one that's physically doing stuff. And it's it was just so cool to see because Willem Dafoe's like 66 and
Yeah.
he's out here making demands like that where it's like,
And I wouldn't be able to move like that, and I'm like 32. You know what I mean? Like, damn.
yeah, I'm like Willem, damn, and we kind of remember he was in John Wick, so that is already up to that. But I thought that everybody did really well. I really like seeing. I thought Jamie Foxx was really good. I like Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I didn't like how he was all blue. So I like that he was a person in this one. And
Well, the blue was from Ultimate Spider-Man. I think that was like the blueprint for the movie, basically.
Yeah. And Alfred Molina was great. They basically cured him in like 5 minutes, which I thought was great. And so I had a question: were the tentacles always able to absorb tech, or was that just an upgrade they gave him for this movie?
I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think so. I'm not. It's hard to say because as soon as that happened, you know, Spider-Man was able to take over the suit. He was able to hack into it. So I don't know if maybe it was the nanos attaching themselves in preparation for that, or if it was something that he did. I can't remember, you know. I don't know. As far as I knew, he just used them, you know, as like separate like arms and appendages.
Yeah, because I'm like, damn, wouldn't that have been cool if you'd have had that during during Homecoming when Vulture kept on like flying in and swooping in and like kicking your butt and stuff. But
well, yeah, I don't think he had the suit. I don't think he had the nano.
Oh, that's
suit.
right, he did. No. Yeah, he
Why
got
did I
it
say
for
nano
Infinity
leaf?
War.
Nanotech.
Like, but I just loved how. Oh, now they're talking about spoilers. I love how it was a movie with 3 separate universes of Spider-Man in it.
Yep.
And they all just felt like they were, you know, like it didn't feel different because they were from different places. I mean, they were from different places, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like they were all just, you know, doing the same thing. And I was kind of worried about them because like Sony's had that issue in the past of trying to cram too many villains into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the MCU just said, yeah, we're going to make these 5 characters all be on their own thing. And like, I feel like everybody, but obviously you had like, your hierarchy, you know, like obviously Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina are the top dogs. Like Jamie Foxx is in 3rd, and then Sandman and Lizard. And I liked how they all got their own separate screen time. I like how they did all that. I kind of did feel bad for Norman Osborn though, because he just dropped so many Easter eggs. He was like, there's no Oscorp here. And I'm like, yeah, we know that. We don't like it either. And then he was like, see, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this about what he said, but he said someone else is in my house.
Yeah. So I think what happened was he tried to find his house in his universe, but someone was actually living in there.
Yeah, so does that mean that like is that like a hidden Easter egg, or am I
don't know. I'm not exactly sure. But you man, you're all over the place with these spoilers. I thought we got to keep on track, my man. So let's start off organized. Let's start off with the beginning. So Quentin Beck frames Peter Parker for murder, and everything just explodes for him. His family, Ned, his girlfriend, and his Aunt May are just bombarded with everyone and their mother trying to reach out to get pictures of Spider-Man. And everybody, it's like half the people still love him, and the other half just think he's conniving and he's evil. And Jonah Jameson is just painting the picture, you know, for our Spidey friend, it's just as a mass murderer. It was insane. I loved how it just turned so fast for him, man. He just saved the world. And there are people who still actually like consider that. They're like, you know, you did save the world and everything, but like everyone's still uneasy about him.
Yeah, and I think that really calls into question like when more movies do stuff like this, like when they have like the people's perception on things, because it's like, yeah, you just saved the world and you know all this stuff, but like you did this one thing and now you're gonna see how fast it's gonna turn on you. Like Quentin Beck even said it. He was like, people need to believe, and they'll believe anything.
Yep.
And
dude, it was so wild too, because you've seen the effects trickle, you know, not only from that, but with all three of them, Ned, MJ, and Spider-Man applying to MIT, getting denied because it was too controversial. They were just, you know, too much heat was on them, and this school did not want any of it.
Yeah.
And that's where this all starts from, was Peter Parker trying to do the right thing, trying to get his, you know, his friends into school. He really didn't even care if it was him. So he reaches out to Doctor Strange to get things reversed. And I think we really got to see a true Spider-Man when Doctor Strange is like, everybody's going to forget who you are. And he's like, well, wait. You know, what about MJ? What about my best friend? You know, what about, Aunt May?
Yeah.
And then the spell just starts going haywire and it just breaks out of control.
I love that. First of all, too, when he got into the house and he was like, "Oh, the house of the Sorcerer Supreme," and Peter's like, "I thought you were Sorcerer Supreme," and he was like, "Wong got it on a technicality because I was blipped for 5 years."
Yeah, I love that part, dude. They touched base that he was gone, and then now he lost it, but he's still able to do everything, you know, that he was, you know. So what do you think that's going to lead him to now that he's not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore? Where do you think we're going to see him go?
I mean, honestly, it makes Shang-Chi make a lot more sense now, because normally we saw Wong doing all that stuff, like, you know, portaling like Abomination, and you know he was there in that thing doing whatever. So now it makes more sense as to why Wong would want to seek out Shang-Chi, because you would think Doctor Strange would be the one to seek him out. So I think that it makes the most sense for Wong and Doctor Strange to have their own two things go on. And like obviously Wong isn't gonna do like, you know, like the big time stuff. Like Wong's not gonna face Dormammu again or something like that. But Strange is going to have to earn that title again, which I don't think he was he ever called Sorcerer Supreme in the MCU so far?
You know, I can't remember. I think when the one before him died, I think he might have got the title after that. I can't remember. You know, I've seen Doctor Strange, but it's been so long.
Yeah,
you know, that's a good question. Actually, let's look it up.
Because I've always found it like, don't get me wrong, that fight with him and Thanos on Titan, I was like, yeah, you're Sorcerer Supreme up in here, because that fight, Strange was trying. It's like when you play a game. It's like when you're playing Final Fantasy and...
Yeah, he was the former Sorcerer Supreme and a master of the mystic art, yeah.
Okay, so now it's going to come to this thing where it's going to be like... I mean, honestly, who's to say they both can't hold the title somehow? I mean, Doctor Strange is going to be Sorcerer Supreme for like, you know, for stuff like this.
Well, I bet what's going to happen is we're going to see him either die in a later movie, or we're going to see him move on to fulfill some other role. You know, we did see hints of an evil Doctor Strange in, you know, the second post-credit scene. I don't know if you...
Supreme.
Well, no, do you remember that though? He looked...
That's Strange Supreme.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, you obviously would know more about that. But yeah, we've seen that, so you know something's going to happen. You know something's about to get real wicked.
Oh yeah. And I just love how... What we're talking about? We're talking about... Okay, Doctor Strange, okay. And then, see, I find it funny that... See, because I don't know, because, like, remember in Loki, where the one who remains face was changing when some major event was happening? And a lot of people were like, that was Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch. But, like, how do we know that he didn't already know that all this that was going to happen opened the multiverse that way? Because when the spell got botched, it was like, you know, then it's like, oh, the multiverse is opening, all these people are coming through. And another thing too is like we know that certain people made it. From like, obviously we had those 5. Those, well, 7. Well, 5 counting, yeah. But how do we know that other things didn't make it through? You know, what other background stuff are we missing where it was like, what other beings could have made it through? Because remember when they showed like where each of them came from, and then he captured them all, and then it was like, okay, that's it, and I'm like, okay, that's it, and then it just became now like a movie of like, okay, we got a heist, but we're heisting people. Like,
well, the thing is, he had the whatever you want to call it, the end all, spell where he just made everything go back. The only reason they just didn't do that to begin with is because all the villains that got sucked into their universe die the second they go back. So
yeah,
every single villain that came back dies in their own universe.
but that's weird though, because Lizard didn't die in Amazing Spider-Man.
What happened to him?
He just became human again. He reverted back to Kurt Connors. I don't think Sandman died either. Did he?
I don't know. Hold on.
I think Sandman just blew off in the wind, but I know Lizard didn't die.
Yeah,
So,
it says he was able to escape death. I think everyone else did.
No, yeah. I mean, Doc Ock and Electro. Well, saying Electro died is kind of like an oversimplification, because I mean, if he was energy, he could have just been recovering his energy in some form or another. But
he pretty much acknowledged it himself, though. He was just straight up like,
that's true. Yeah.
He's like, I had so much surge of energy. He's then next thing I know, I wake up and he's like, I guess I did die. Like,
oh, okay. So yeah. So basically, the 3. So out of the 5 of them, only 3 of them technically did die. The other 2 were just like, ugh. I didn't die technically.
Essentially, we'll get back on pace here because, man, we went off on a tangent there. Shoo! We got to reel you back in. So essentially, Doctor Strange botches the spell thanks in part to Peter Parker, and we see all sorts of chaos happen. He goes to find the president of MIT, I believe, and try to convince her, because Doctor Strange was like, you didn't try to call them first. You had me make the whole world forget about you. I was like, bro, like, and then he's like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting you're a kid. Like,
yeah.
So he's like, oh, you could do that? So he's like, he goes to reach out to her and find her. And that's when we see Otto Octavius make his grand appearance.
Yeah. And I just thought that was so great. He was like, hello, Peter. And he was like, do I know you? Like, who are you? I don't know you. And then they had their fight. And then he popped the Iron Spider legs. And then he was like, oh.
Well, yeah, because he was basically like, I'm going to have to go after your little girlfriend. And then Peter Parker's like, dude, fuck this. And that's when it got all intense, because, he's able to fight him off with those arms. And then he kept like going back to the president of MIT and saving her, like, because it was like, you could tell that was a big focal point. They were fighting around her. And at the end of it, she's like, I'm going to put in a word for you and your friends. We're going to get you in. So that's another indication. I think they're all invited into MIT. And I don't think we really got to see that happen afterwards. Like, I don't know if they did get accepted into the college within the movie, but I know we left off from that lady saying she was going to put a word in for him. So I got a future prediction that maybe in the next movie, we see them in college. I think you were talking about that earlier too, where we see them in college, and maybe that's where he makes the connection.
Well, I mean, and this is more towards the end stuff, but I mean, MJ and Ned got into MIT. That was definitely confirmed. There's no word on if Peter got in, because at the end he had a GED book in his box of things. Mm-hmm. And if the woman, because if the spell was to make everybody forget that you were a Spider-Man, or to forget about you. So if she forgot about Peter Parker, I don't think he got into MIT, because she would only remember getting in MJ and Ned and not Peter. So I think Peter isn't in MIT. I could be wrong. This is just my theory about it. And if Peter does get into a different school, because I mean, he's going to have to get into a different school, or he's going to have to be in MIT somehow, because, Zendaya and Jacob are still really close to the movie franchise. But if he isn't in MIT, he's going to go to like a brand new college or whatever, because he didn't technically graduate high school yet. Because either that's going to happen, or like there's 2 different roads it can go. It can go either he graduated from high school and he gets into MIT eventually, maybe like second year maybe or something like that, or he goes to a new school and makes new friends. Harry and Gwen.
So after this though, we see that Otto is able to somehow absorb Spider-Man's suit. He takes his nanotechnology and is able to use it on his tentacle. What are they called? Tentacle arms? Where were they called? What's up?
We basically call them tentacle arms at
Tentacles?
this point. He is an octopus. So
And dude, it just gets brutal because he's like, oh, Peter Parker, I like this, and he has the claws, and he's getting ready to kill Peter Parker, but then Peter's able to make his suit shift to his chest. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty clever too.
yeah, that was actually really cool when he basically took control of the arms, and I was like, damn. Otto spent a whole movie trying to argue with them things, and you just took them in less than 5 seconds.
And dude, it gets brutal too because he's able to put down Otto Octavius, but then here comes Green Goblin, and he just blows the whole fucking bridge up, dude. It was insane, dude. I loved it.
I loved it. I love him. Like, I feel like, and I liked how the villains, some of them had like their bouts of evil, but then they kind of like went like. Doc Ock was like, he was just confused the whole movie. So I'm not going to say he wanted to do evil shit. He was just confused. But like, Electro was like, nah, I don't like where this is going. And
he's like, I'm not bald anymore. My teeth are fixed. Like, I'm looking good.
I'm Spawn. Like, so.
So, man, it was insane. Because then after this, we get that awesome scene where Doctor Strange gives Peter Parker the ability to pretty much slingshot these people from the multiverse into like a multiverse like holding cell. Yeah. And we seen that Doctor Strange got tore up by Lizard, but he was able to capture him. I don't know if you noticed that, but his face was all bleeding and stuff. He put up a fight against him. Yeah,
I was wondering how he had gotten Lizard, because I was like, Doctor Strange, why couldn't we have seen that part? But I think we should pay close attention to that dungeon or that wherever they were, because I feel like that's going to be used more often. Again, but I did like how, like, what was it? After Doc Ock, the first stop was, I know it was Sandman and Electro, because
same time, yep.
Yeah, because Sandman was like, oh, you're Peter Parker, I can trust you, and he's like, I'm not yours, but yes, keep that energy.
Well, Electro was just chilling, and then Peter Parker seen him. And then they were fighting it, and Sandman was the one that saved Peter Parker. If it wasn't for Sandman, Peter Parker would have got way fucked up. Yeah, he came up at the last second, and then he zaps Electro, puts him in the holding cell, and then Sandman's like, "Dude, what did you just do?" And he's like, "Whoa, let me explain." And then he gets him too. So I think we had potential for Sandman to be good, but like you said, he didn't know what the fuck was going on, and he just turned right away. I felt so bad for him because he just wanted to get home to his kid, and like I could relate to that so bad, but like, oh man, like my man, you got some serious trust issues.
I know, he was like, I don't trust anybody, and I'm like, well, you're not. I love how everybody involved, I love how they portrayed their genuine confusion, because imagine us plopping in from our world to a totally different one. Like, first of all, we had to take in what's going on, but also we had to realize that we're not home. Yeah. And everyone's just like, okay, what exactly is going on here?
Man, the way after the Green Goblin leaves him too, and he like goes through an episode like with himself, fighting within himself, and then he goes to the feast building with Aunt May and was looking for Spider-Man. Like, I was like, dude, holy shit, this is gonna get really insane really quick. And then he's able to trick, Peter Parker into thinking that he's, there for, the good of everything. And then Otto Octavius is like, Norman Osborn, what are you doing? You're supposed to be dead. I was like, oh shit, dude, this is where it's about to get fucking insane. And man, Peter just wanted to do the right thing. He just wanted to make everybody, because he realizes, he's able at that moment to realize most of these guys are going to die the second they get put back into the right universes. And he didn't want that to happen. So he wanted to fix them. And that is what leads us to one of the most like interesting fights of the movie. I thought, him versus Doctor Strange. Like, that was so fucking insane. It was like Inception the entire time. I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on right now?
I love how they took it more advantage of Strange doing that versus when the Ancient One was doing, because that's how much Strange has grown as a character in terms of like his power and all that. But I also want to call back to when Peter was trying to figure everything out. This movie was so full of memes, it's not even funny. Like where Norman's like, "I can help. I'm something of a scientist
yeah, I'm a
myself."
bit of a scientist myself. I was like, shit, dude, come on now.
I was like, "Yes, say all of the meme things." And I love how they were all calling attention to like their deaths, because even like Otto was like, "I didn't die," and Sandman's like, "Oh, you did. It was in the papers." And Norman, you too. And it was just like, ugh. And
Yeah.
I love that whole like Doctor Strange and Peter confrontation, because it really called into question how Strange was like, "Okay, I need you to give me that thing." No, are we gonna talk about how when he like did like the astral punch on
Oh,
him?
dude, that was so fucking cool.
But then like
He's
his
like, am I
Spidey
dead?
like, "Am I dead? No, you're out of your body." But his Spidey sense kicked in, and it wouldn't let Strange take the box
He's like, I
away.
don't know how you're doing this, but he's like,
And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, if that's not a callback, or if that's not a foreshadowing of Shang-Chi eventually teaching Spider-Man how to fight and hone the spider sense, I don't know what is." But I really did enjoy their whole thing, because he was like, because then Peter figured it out. He was like, "Oh, geometry, I know geometry," and I'm like, "Oh God,
dude, it
we're
was so
calling
fucking
attention.
awesome, dude. And he's just like,
We're calling attention to math. I don't want math in my movies."
and dude, I don't know if you caught it, but the spiral, the universal spiral, he like it was starting to form behind Doctor Strange when he got caught. He's like, you left me hanging in the Grand Canyon for 12 hours.
Yo,
I
that
was
was
like, oh
great.
shit.
It was like Doctor Strange was a fly in a spider web, but
Mm-hmm.
also it also calls back to what he did to Loki in Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
He was like, "I have been falling for 30 minutes," and I just loved Doctor Strange in this movie. Like you could tell he was just a tired father or a tired
Mm-hmm.
uncle who was just like, "Scooby Doo this shit," and MJ's like, "I know a few magic words," and I was like, "That's
Yep.
sass. I love it. I love that." Like, and then we start going into like the last Stark Tech thing that was in Happy's apartment, and you could just tell Electro was just like, "Uh oh, like I feel some surge of power," and I totally forgot about that 3D printer, even though I know he used it uh, in No Way Home. Wait, Far From Home.
I think it was Far From Home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like when him and Norman worked together to cure Otto, and then they used it on him, and then I guess they made like a fake cure because it didn't work on him, and then his spider sense really kicked in, where
Oh God, yeah.
he was like, and like that scene was so tense because it was like we as the audience was like, "What? No one's doing anything to you. What's going
I just
on?"
fucking knew. I knew. Right when it kicked in, I was like, these guys, this is right where they turn evil. Shit's about to happen. And it gets so insane because Otto was good. He didn't want any part of it. He tried to run away. And so it's Peter Parker versus fucking what
Norman Osborn.
Electro and
Oh yeah.
fucking Green Goblin, because Lizard was down in the van. Um and Sandman and shit's just getting fucking wild, 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 man. And holy shit, when Aunt May takes the fucking glider to the fucking.
I don't approve. I blame the Spider-Man video game for this, because you're not supposed to kill Aunt May. It's not supposed to be a thing that's supposed to happen.
Dude, Tom Holland was such a good actor too. That scene was just heart wrenching, dude. You could feel it in his fucking face, every inch of his fucking pain and everything, dude. And he was just broken, dude.
Yeah.
And you just see Happy fucking and like fucking like hands up, and he's like looking over and he sees it, and oh man. And
I teared up. I'm not going to
yeah, from
lie
that
to
point
you.
forward, you've seen Peter Parker just with vengeance, and it was scary, dude.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't like how this happened, but also was just, again, I just love how Willem Dafoe's acting was just so top notch in this movie, because it's like he just wanted to be evil. Like he just was
Hmm.
like, "Here you go, catch this thing for me," and he was just evil and just flew away. And this just like Peter was, because I make the joke, right, because I'm like, and this is all Spider-Man stories, and including the movies, where basically Spider-Man's whole shtick is Marvel somehow trying to make him suffer.
Hmm.
Like, remember in Far From Home, where it was like he just had the fight with Mysterio and he was all wounded and all that stuff, and Marvel's like hit him with a train.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, it's like you had a fight, an amazing fight, a brutal fight with Norman Osborn. Like y'all sent each other through floors of this apartment complex, and then Marvel's like, kill his Aunt May. And it's like, no, don't do that to him.
Things continue to get more crazier as before Spider-Man was able to lock Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension, Ned was able to actually get his sling ring, and this surprised me because he was able to actually use it. He was able to bring up the portal, and I remember the first time he was able to do it, and he's like, I just want to see Peter. I seen the Spider-Man, and I was like, Andrew Garfield. I was like, I fucking yelled it. It was 3:00 in the afternoon. We only had like 4 families in the theater. It was Liv right next to me. She's like, shh. I was like, no, fucking Andrew Garfield. Like, next thing you know, Andrew Garfield comes out. I was like, God damn it. And I loved when MJ's like, prove it. And he like jumps up and like is hanging one-handed. And she's like, crawl across the wall. And he's like, this ain't enough?
Yeah, he was
like,
really
this is enough.
He was like, I think this is sufficient. And she kept throwing bread at him. And he was like, what are you doing? You have the thing that Peter has. You do it. He was like, yeah, I have it, but it doesn't work with bread. Like, and I think, now this is outlandish, so stay with me on this. I think the blip might have something to do with Ned's ability to use the sling ring, because I don't think that that's an accident. Yeah, I don't think that they would give it to him and have him being able to use it by accident. I think
I don't think the blip has anything to do with that, though.
I mean, we don't know that, because in a lot of things, it could be like, there could be a lot of more magical beings on Earth now, and that could be another thing that tears into like, more Doctor Strange and Wong territory.
I don't know.
I said it was outlandish.
It is pretty fucking outlandish, man.
Like
you're gonna need a ruler for that reach.
Yeah. I'm gonna I'm like Spider-Man's webs don't reach that far as I'm reaching. But
I also loved when we got to see Tobey Maguire afterwards. That was old man Toby. He's fucking like in his Into the Spider-Verse get up like almost to a T. I fucking loved it. And then we see them find Spider-Man, and it was a really emotional breakdown. He's like, you guys simply can't understand, and they're like, yeah, we absolutely fucking can, idiot. Like, we've been there.
We absolutely
like, we're you.
Can.
We're Spider-Man.
I'm like, Toby's like, I lost Uncle Ben, and then I get it. Because, him and Andrew both lost their Uncle Bens. So I know they couldn't do it twice, but I'm like, stop reminding this man about Gwen. It still hurts us. Like,
yeah.
But he was like, I lost, I guess you can say she was my MJ. And they were and I was just like, why is my king in tears? Stop making him suffer. I just don't like it.
We do need to be wrapping it up soon. So we're going to be talking pretty much about the ending arc. And this is when all 3 spiders get together to come up with cures. They're going to follow through with Tom's plan.
They did the pointing meme in that scene.
Yeah. Dude, it was so fucking awesome, too. Just seeing them work together. And they're like, Peter. And they're all of us like, which one? Like
I love him or what?
And I really loved how... like, he has a girlfriend, and they're like, we're just too busy, we're just too busy. Like, we ain't got time for that. Like, I fucking love that too. Like, it was just fucking hilarious seeing all 3 of them interact with each other.
I thought it was cool too when when they were talking about their girlfriends and stuff, because technically Andrew did have a Mary Jane. We just never got to see her, because it was Shailene Woodley. That was like one of the deleted scenes from Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I know that it takes place after Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I just thought it was a really cool thing to be like, oh, because actually too, even like at the end where they were talking about like Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man's like, oh, what are some of the craziest villains you guys have fought? And I'm like, literally the majority of their rogues gallery is here right now. And
yeah, dude, it was so fucking funny. He's like, I fought some Russian dude in a rhino suit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I fought an alien. He's like, but you fought an alien in space. Like,
Toby's like, I fought this alien goop monster, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I really liked the fight. Obviously the big showdown. I thought the fight was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought in the beginning how they kept running into each other. Then they had to have a little huddle. Like, let's play off each other. We need to actually be teammates. We're so used to playing alone. And Tom's like, well, I was part of the Avengers. And they're like, who?
Are you in a band? That sounds
are
so
you in a
cool.
band?
Oh wait,
But after that, they're able to cure everybody. And then it's the big showdown between Tom Holland and the Green Goblin. And he's bloodthirsty. He's ready to kill him, beating the utter dog shit out of him. Dude, it's getting so insane. And he's getting ready to go for the glider kill. He holds it above his head, about to Captain America his ass, dog. And then Toby's like, no.
Toby's like, calm down, little man. I get it, but are we gonna talk about how the fact that Toby and how Andrew and Tom were just dumbfounded, amazed about
that he was able to shoot it from his wrist?
Yeah, because I loved Andrew's face, because Andrew's face was like, it was like pure amazement. Andrew's like, I have to make this crap. Like,
yeah, Tom's like, I made mine from like a high school like chemistry set. He's like, oh mine just is organic, and they're like, does it just shoot from your wrist or other places? He's like, just from the wrist. Like,
he's like, and I was like, and Andrew's like, I had to make my stuff with military grade freaking things, and I'm like, but that final fight with Green Goblin with some of like, that's some stuff I love to see, like him using his webs to trap him, and like, and even like Green Goblin was calling the spider sense out because he was like, oh, that damn sense of yours, because I'm like, are they gonna have him win somehow, or are they gonna have him?
Oh man, when he, and I talked about it earlier, when he picked him up and like just literally slammed him down, he like threw him up, used the webs to catch him, just breaking him. And man, when Toby got stabbed, when he went to go protect him from the killing blow, and he just comes up from the back and just stabs him through the stomach, I was like, no, like I didn't see that coming. That was new.
My whole thing, I was like, okay, I know that Toby can't die, because that would just be like some Last Jedi nonsense, awful storytelling. But even Andrew was like, oh my god, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'll heal. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I was like,
my first time being stabbed. I was like, all right.
I'm pretty sure that Green Goblin knew what was going to happen after. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just get one more last stab in before I die. So
let's begin to wrap it up here too. After this, they have to do one of the hardest parts of the movie. This was like one of the most emotional parts for me, where ultimately, in order for the world to be safe, everyone has to forget about Peter Parker, because everyone that remembers him from all these different universes are trying to come in through the rift that's been created because of this, spell gone wrong. And the only way to fix it is to have everyone forget, including MJ. So Spider-Man is all alone right now. The love of his life does not even he goes in to get coffee, and she's like, who are you? Like, I have no idea who you are. Okay, yeah. Peter Parker, like,
Ned doesn't recognize him.
He had a whole little note ready. Very heartbreaking, dude. This movie just took every expectation I had and succeeded, and then went above and beyond with it. And the post-credit scenes, I wanted Venom to be in the movie. I was kind of depressed that he was just a post-credit scene again. Like, I wanted him to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, it would have been unfair for him to be in the movie, because that would have been old Sony cramming things in.
Yeah,
because Venom being in the movie would have made no sense, because even if he was the one to attack Spider-Man, then that would have been more of like, him dealing with 6 people he's never met. And I do know that little piece of symbiote, that little baby piece, is in the MCU now.
Yep.
So, and now, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, excuse me. There was a lot of different creatures in the Rift too. A whole lot of speculation about some of those creatures and what's to come. Now, I know you're really excited about that last post-credit scene, so let's go ahead and talk about that, and then we're gonna be wrapping up this spoiler take.
Multiverse of Madness. Miss America's in it, and I'm so excited to see her. I cannot wait for you guys to see her, because she's gonna be so crazy. And Shuma Gorath is in the movie also, and Strange Supreme, that's evil Doctor Strange, because if anybody hasn't seen What If yet, I guess spoilers for that, but Strange Supreme is basically bored watching Killmonger and Ultron fight it out for the Infinity Stones, and it's like, what else am I supposed to do? Strange Supreme wants that Marvel money, and because I know they're changing the movie. They basically have to reshoot 80% of Multiverse of Madness now, because the original plan was Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out first, and then that was supposed to lead into Spider-Man. But now that Spider-Man's come out first, they basically have to redo like most of the movie, which Now, because originally the whole concept was Wanda was supposed to, I thought Wanda was going to be fucking up the multiverse looking for her not kids. So now Strange enlists her help. So now I don't know where she'll go nuts or where she'll go crazy, but
Yeah,
like we
that's
said,
true.
it still confirms she's supposed to fight a X-Men Fox character, which everyone's saying is Professor Xavier, but I'm just gonna hold out 1% of
Dark
hope.
Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold out that 1% and just think that it's gonna be Famke, because not Sansa, Famke. No disrespect to Sansa, but Famke is my life and everything, and I'm just I ca I hope Marvel does that more often. I hope that they put, because remember, remember back in the day when they would do that before we had the internet, and the first time we saw a movie trailer was at the movies.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope Marvel does that more. I hope that they do that more often, because once they showed Venom, I was like, okay, what else are you gonna tease? Like, you're not gonna tease like Moreland or
Yeah.
fucking Null or what? Like,
Which,
but
dude, Christian Bale isn't Christian Bale gonna be the villain in Thor?
oh yeah, he's Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be wild.
That's gonna be nuts. Like, you
I
guys
hope I hope they do that arc right, because I actually have that comic arc where Thor, they have what is it? Past Thor, future Thor, and present Thor, and all three of them go up against him. And then only one Thor is able to like go up against him, and he has like the God Killer, and then he has his hammer.
Yeah,
and he's like dual wielding both of them, dude. It was brutal.
and I think, because I know in this movie it's supposed to be Thor and Jane Foster's Thor, so we have one more missing piece. So I really hope it's Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
Like,
because he was they had the little Easter egg of him in Ragnarok.
And you guys, Multiverse of Madness is going to be so nuts. And this has been another great show. And I just love being here. And I'm going to let you take the outro out, because I know you have to go. But this was fun, as always. I love talking with you about
absolutely. We'll be getting this episode out later on tonight. Be sure to check out the Keeping It Geekly episode we just dropped earlier today. And of course, our spoiler-free take on this earlier to get our rating and what we thought overall of the movie. Guys, this is Joffrey Cody. We're cutting the shit with our good friend, Mr. Dark Phoenix. And as always, guys, keep it geekly.
Love you guys.